Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show. Joining us today, he's the voice of TNT Wrestling. He's a commentator, announcer, producer for Progress, WrestleTours guide. He's got more feathers in his cap than Tatanka at this
Nice.
point. He is the one and only Mad Dog, Mike Angus. Mike, thanks for being here, man. How are you?
Hey guys, absolutely great to see you, Ant and Carl. First off the bat, I just want to say a massive thank you for you guys joining us in Manchester, Progress at the O2 Ritz last week, and all the guys on the team wanted to, thank you so much for some of the amazing stuff that you filmed at the show and that you've put out on your
Thank you.
socials. We've absolutely enjoyed watching all that back, and obviously, the stuff you did with Shotzi. And about the Indie God, that was just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
So I'm glad that's got so much coverage for you as well with
yeah,
Matt Cardona.
absolutely.
He hates you guys now, so it's really well done.
Yeah. He hated us before, that to be fair, so it's nothing new.
No, that's no. We really appreciate you saying that, man. Do you know what? It was a really, really fun day. We've done a bit of a video on that, so I won't bore our audience too much with it. But like, such a good day, and it's like you mentioned that the Shotzi one, like the crowd interactions are just so fun, and you can see how
Yeah,
much everyone sort of loves Progress, and there's some absolute characters in the crowd, which
100%.
obviously you know quite well yourself.
That's it. Well, I've done the production there for like 2.5 years, and then just quite recently, at the start of this year, switched over onto being the front of house manager. So it's
Mm.
generally me who gets to interact with the guys out in the street at the Electric Ballroom in Camden Town, and obviously at the O2 Ritz in Manchester. And I was really thankful as well to have a wonderful team of students with me at the O2 Ritz from the Birkdale Collective. So a huge thanks to Pete
Yeah.
as well
Indeed,
for
yeah.
helping arrange that. It meant that we could get like the right wristbands out to people and get everyone in a timely manner. And even though we'd done so many, tickets for the Shotzi meet and greet, I still felt like everyone sort of got a nice little amount of time with her to get autograph,
Yeah.
photo, and have a bit of a chat to her. And it was great experience for everybody.
They were
And
so
we
well handled them. Like it wasn't
Honestly,
just like
yeah,
a
we were
rushing thing.
actually
Like she
because
spent time with
we were
everyone, didn't
kind of
she?
nosing
Yeah.
off to one side at a certain point, and we were in awe of like how much time she was giving
Yeah, it
everyone,
was
and like
great.
because obviously she's an absolute sweetheart, and you can tell she loves her fans, but the sort of time she was afforded and the management of it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great, absolutely brilliant. Always welcome back, and I'm sure there's already inklings that she might appear at the ballroom at some point as well. So there you have
Nice.
Mm.
it.
Yeah,
We will watch that
there we go.
space.
Little spoilers there, love it. So obviously, apologies, a little bit of a tangent there, not on my script, but we'll start off if we could, and start off with with your good self, really. So, as Carl alluded to, you're a voice for so many fans, or a voice that so many fans recognize here in the UK. So I suppose I'd start really by just asking how did you get into wrestling, announcing, and everything else that you do on the British wrestling scene?
Yeah, of course. Well, I've been a fan since I was little, so obviously I got the Tatanka reference pretty well because he
Nice.
used to wrestle for All Star on the Wirral when I was younger. So when I was little, I'd go shopping with my mum down to Birkenhead, to like the local town centre by us, and Tatanka would be there in the butchers with Marty Jannetty getting all the burgers and sausages and chicken and stuff in. So I was lucky enough to run into them guys on a weekly basis and be like, that really piqued my interest. The fact that like I was still watching like Year in Review 92, Year in Review 93, like burning my way through them VHSs, watching them over and over again. And then I'd go shopping, and there they were in my town centre doing their own shop. I was like, what's going on here? So I've been interested for a long time. I used to go to all the shows, as I like got to 16, 17, 18. Um, went to like all sorts of different shows in the UK. The first Raw, the SmackDowns, Insurrection, Rebellion, all them sort of shows around the UK. And then I sort of started going to like a lot of UK shows, and me and the guys used to go to TNA every year when it came over. And when I was at university, we used to go and watch 1PW at the Doncaster Dome, which sort of opened my eyes to even more sort of indie wrestlers who I wasn't familiar with. Um, Met all my like heroes who I wanted to meet, and who as a fan who I wanted to see. Went to WrestleMania 23 in Detroit. Um, and then went to WrestleMania 28 as well in Miami. And then from there, someone was like, I was hosting pub quizzes around the world in Liverpool, and someone said,
Nice.
and also sort of the pub I was running. We probably shouldn't talk about this, but we'll throw it in anyway. We used to have Sky Sports in the pub, so I would
Mm.
always do the Sunday night shift, and then we'd have let people stay in and watch the wrestling afterwards.
Oh, nice.
And just have a little sneaky lock in on a Sunday. They could never understand how we made so much money on a Sunday night.
Now they know.
Brilliant.
But yeah, before we switched the tills off, we used to let everyone buy a couple of pints, and then they would be allowed to watch the wrestling. They were all quite well behaved, and then we'd kick them out at the end. But that must have been around sort of 2008, 2009. And from there, when TNT got started, somebody was like, "Oh, this guy used to host these pub quizzes and wrestling events." And they were like, "Oh, he should come and do the ring announcing for you in Liverpool at TNT." So before I'd even met Jay, Nick, who was helping him at the time, reached out to me and said, "Would you come and do this show for us?" And it was when it was my 30th birthday. So I was like, 30th birthday, take a risk. Let's just go and do this. And I'd done presenting and hosting and stuff before. So I was confident with talking to a microphone, and I knew the wrestling already, from being a huge fan. So I just, like a duck to water, I absolutely loved it. And, some of the stuff that Jay and TNT have done over the years has just been absolutely amazing. So it's been an absolute pleasure to be involved with it. And obviously, all wrestling shows have their ups and the downs with the things like we had the COVID and all that malarkey, but everyone's done the best to just try and make sure that the fans have an amazing time and that the shows we put on are top class. And with the help of Triller and Ant, obviously doing the streaming, we've taken it to that level now where anyone around the world can watch TNT Extreme Wrestling and watch all the back catalogue on Demand Progress Plus as well. So there's so many, ways of watching back what we've done. And we've had Will Ospreay, we've had Pete Dunne, I've ring announced for Penta and Ray Phoenix at TNT, Pac, just some of the absolute best wrestlers on the planet. And obviously all our homegrown stars and people who are local to us, we've had Harley Hudson, Lizzie Evo, so many people you see now all around the world are people who've wrestled at TNT. Walter was our champion. It's just like we've been very lucky with the stars Jay's brought in and been, enjoyed working with them. So we've had a great time there, and it's still going on.
Absolutely, man. I mean, obviously, you are a wrestling historian, as we can tell. You've very much got your own distinctive style, both on the mic and, of course, impeccable fashion sense. Did you take any inspiration from anyone to kind of create this style? Like, how did Mad Dog come about?
I just I met Howard Finkel, and he gave me one really important piece of advice, which I'll share with you in a second. But he was always impeccably dressed. So my original sort of outfits that I wore was always the the classic white with the black bow tie and the black suit, very neat. And then it's sort of evolved ever so slightly, a bit more, maybe even like sort of Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan thrown in there. Just any elaborate jackets I see, I do tend to reach out into them realms. We've had some really wild ones. We've got one that said it looked like Pablo Picasso had been sick on it that I wore at one show. That's only ever been worn once at a TNT Ignition show, and it got so much more publicity than it should have done. People would say, and I was like a walking work of art. So that's only ever been out once. But it's the styles developed slightly with like the shiny shoes and stuff. Just something a little bit different to keep people's attention, but still try and look as smart as possible for announcing the show and trying to make sure we get the best entrances for each star as they make their way to the ring and try and get that story over to the fans, so they know exactly what's going on and who's fighting. So and that piece of advice from Howard, by the way, was I said to him, "Have you got any advice for an up and coming ring announcer?" He said, "Yes, Beckham over. Don't get their names wrong."
Oh, the Fink. What a legend.
I've done my best, Fink. I've done my best. It's been a couple of times. James Greenwood's been James Greensmith on a few occasions. And Mark Adams is still wound up with me because I keep calling him Mark Andrews because we've had Andrews on a few times with Junior and stuff. So that's happened more than once. So I'll behave though. Apart from that, not bad for like 11 years worth of ring announcing though.
I mean, to be fair,
I mean, the amount of keeping track you must have to do. That's I think we'd absolutely. I should have.
Oh god, yeah. Really, just say our names, can we?
And because I don't know why I'm going into this, but we've been having that debate. Like we both pronounced progress differently, and I don't know who's right.
Actually,
yeah, I don't know why. I'm just like a closet yanker, and I had to call it progress, and it's just like I don't know why, but
I'm fine with either. I let people off. It's not progress or progress, it's all good. As long as people are tuning in and coming to the shows, that's what matters. And keeping up to date with the storylines, that's what we like to see. And obviously, I love it seeing people there every month at the ballroom and around the country, and events like For the Love of Wrestling and WrestleCon. They're like my favorite things, where we get to work alongside the legends and stuff. One of my favorites is when we were in Philly. We actually had a Progress stand at that, and literally opposite me was like Tito Santana, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Million Dollar Man, Jake the Snake, and Abdullah the Butcher, and it was just absolutely wild because
that's awesome.
Every 2 minutes you'd hear, Arriba, and then Hacksaw would be like, oh, and then every sort of 10 minutes, somebody had paid the fee to get attacked by Abdullah the Butcher with the forks. You'd hear someone screaming every now and again. So yeah,
I mean, how do you compete with that? How do you get people to go over to your stand when you've got Abdullah the Butcher literally like jabbing someone with a fork across the?
Oh, we were lucky. We had some lovely guests, and we had who was with us that day. We had Michael Oak, who came to visit us. Doris was about, Crowley. Tate Mayfairs was there with the TNT World Championship. So, we had some nice guests who people wanted to meet as well. So it was good.
That's awesome. So obviously, this might be a difficult question because obviously you've just mentioned that 11 years as well. But you have been part of the fabric of TNT and Progress and other UK promotions. So I suppose what I'm asking is, what are some of your favourite shows or moments that you've called so far?
Yeah, well, with TNT, a couple of favourites that I always mention is, we had Will Ospreay versus Pete Dunne at TNT back in the day, which was pretty special. I think that was 2017, was it? Which was amazing. Obviously, Walter became TNT World Champion. Ending Joseph Connor's run, who'd had like an undefeated streak for quite a long time. We had Tyler Bate working there with us. They were amazing moments. I think it was it Supreme Extreme 2019 when we had Penta and Ray Phoenix on the show. That was amazing. And the really interesting story that, me and Lee did a little thing last night where we were talking to some Progress fans on like a video call, and Lee mentioned about this story that I'd mentioned to him, which is a true story. I was quite early to arrive at the show that day, first person backstage getting ready, and the next person who was in was Pac. So I'd not met him before. So I think he'd done one show for TNT previously, but I'd been away. So I was meeting him for the first time to announce his match that night. And then the next two guys who walked into the locker room were the Lucha Bros. So Penta and Phoenix, and they shook hands, and it was the first time that Pac had met them as well. So I literally was there when Death Triangle met each other, and obviously that was like an amazing moment.
Yeah,
and then
awesome.
I'll tell you what, you've got a case there to make it Death Square. That's all I'm saying.
I could be that 90-degree angle in the corner. A right angle, Mad Dog Mike Angus.
Love it. New gimmicks.
That's it. But them guys were absolutely amazing that night. And then Ray Phoenix versus El Phantasmo was one of my favorite matches to see live in person. It was just absolutely insane. And then, moving on a couple of years, and my good friend Lee McAteer and Martin Best obviously got involved with Progress and brought me on board to work with them guys. And at the time, John Briley was still working in like a handover capacity because he was leaving the company. And he sort of suggested that there was a couple of options of people who could take over from him, but it ended up being me who he trained up to do his role at Progress, which was awesome. And I really appreciate what he showed me there. And I took over doing that production manager's role. But the really interesting, funny story I was going to say was that at the O2 Ritz in Manchester, I believe it was it's either chapter 128 or 129 when Ilya Dragunov came back. But at the start of the show, John said to me, we'd already done chapter 127 and I think 128 as well. And I think Manchester was 129. And he said, are you confident, with what I've shown you, doing the show? Because he'd been sort of shadowing me, sitting with me. Yeah, sure. And he's like, well, I'm just about to run the bathroom. I'll see you later. And then just left.
Sink or swim.
Nice.
So the guys were like,
first.
So then the headsets was like, yeah, we're ready to go. Mad Dog, we're ready to go. And I'm like, let's go. So, yeah. but he came back for the Ilya part because obviously that was we had to orchestrate lighting, everything. That had to be perfect moment. So it was great. But no, I really appreciated that, and obviously, all the opportunities that Lee and Martin have gave me to work for Progress, and of course WrestleTours as well is all part of that as well. So I've been really lucky to have been involved with so much stuff that I enjoy, and wrestling, you meet some crazy people, but you meet some really nice people as well. And it's nice to see, that there's so many great people who I could give shout outs to, but, working with so many nice people at, TNT, Progress, all over the country, wherever we go, there's always a smiley face and someone who knows you. And even now when I'm working abroad, people know who I am. So it's nice, people come up for selfies, autographs and stuff. And, just such good fun, and we meet these wrestlers who come over and work for Progress with us. We've had like Takeshita on, we've had Casey Navarro, Nick Wayne, all sorts of amazing talents. Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay's been back with us. Just all sorts of amazing people. And then obviously when you're over in the States and you see them, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Just it's great. It's great camaraderie, and there's a lot of people who work so hard, and they're wrestling all over the country, training hard, and you just you appreciate when you get to see both sides of it, how much effort they put in, and Progress wise, I had the van for a couple of years, driving all the tech equipment around. So that was an experience, and driving people up and down the country and all that sort of stuff. So I certainly know how to find a parking space now. Anyway,
vital sometimes, I imagine, especially in London.
I know, yeah.
With a van that size as well.
Oh, yeah,
don't envy you for that. So obviously you touched on WrestleTours there, so obviously we need to talk about that. For anyone who doesn't know what exactly WrestleTours is and stuff like that, what makes it so much more than just what makes it so much more than a trip to WrestleMania?
Yeah, you can't say just.
That's it, exactly. No, it is a trip to WrestleMania. It's just like an amazing experience, and we've been for the last 3 years. So we did LA, we've done Philly, and then Las Vegas last year, and then of course WrestleMania 42 now has been announced. It's going to be in Las Vegas again. So that's the 16th to the 21st of April, and with that we stay in an amazing 4-star hotel on the Las Vegas Strip. It includes Raw, SmackDown, and then we get premium tickets for WrestleMania as well. So you're not just in any seat where your view might be blocked or you might not have a really great view. You're in like the VIP suites, which are like the nicest seats in the building. And at the Allegiant Stadium, the view was amazing. Most of the stadium, to be fair to it, but these seats are sort of just top class, really comfortable, and they have like a member of staff looking after each suite as well. So this year while we were there, Lee actually sorted it out, and Martin had sorted out for complimentary drinks while we were at WrestleMania. So for a few people, it was Bevy Mania as well for them. But no, we had a great time, and we've had all sorts of special guests join us. Obviously, a lot of the wrestlers from Progress travel with us, and we have people who come to see us, which is nice as well to catch up. We've just had some amazing guests who popped into the suites over the years. This year, our suite did get raided by a giant inflatable Dude Wipes mascot, who knocked over all the popcorn and people's drinks and stuff. I didn't have that on the cards, really, to be honest. But now people keep just sending me pictures of Dude Wipes when they see them in stores in the UK. So it's like he definitely, as well, at one point must have appeared on screen because just the whole audience started booing, and then we realised it was because Dude Wipes was in our suite at the very front, and people were just booing him. So but we have such a great time, and we've had some great guests join us. RVD's come and watch WrestleMania with us. Mick Foley's family, Mickey James and Nick Aldis came and watched with us. SoCal Val, Lisa Marie, all the gang. One of my favourites was Chavo Guerrero came and watched a couple of matches with us at WrestleMania the other year. And when we were in Philly as well, just as the show's about to start, it's literally as America the Beautiful's on. My suite were very lucky because we were right by the lift for the staff lift, which was where all the WWE talents who weren't on the show that night were coming through to go to their suites. So a lot of like the kids and people who were in our suite actually got to meet like CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, people like that. Wow. As the show was about to start, QT Marshall was out in the corridor, and he'd only worked with On Progress about a couple of weeks before. So I said, "Oh, hey, QT, you good?" And he's like, "I don't know where my suite is." So we had QT Marshall and Ricky Saints in our suite watching the start of WrestleMania with us while they found out where they were actually meant to be.
Oh, that's amazing.
And of course, Ricky at that time was, was working with AEW, so I'm not sure he was like meant to be seen. But obviously, we're getting photographs, and everything as we always do, and videos. And he's like, "Oh, I can't have my photo taken." I'm like, "You're alive, pal." We're already on the Facebook Live. Sorry, Ricky.
It worked out for him in the end.
Yeah,
Hey, exactly. That's it. Yeah, he's doing amazing. It's that stuff like that's great to see as well.
Oh yeah.
When one year he's watching WrestleMania with us, the next year we're at Stand and Deliver on the morning of WrestleMania, and he's on the show. It's like smashing it.
It must be really surreal at times when you get moments like that.
I
And
tell you
quite a lot of
one
them
that
actually.
really got me this year, guys, was and he really got me good this one because I tell you what, as I was walking through WrestleCon, I try and say hello to everyone, and show me face, shake hands, be respectful to everyone, and as I was walking past Joe Hendry, his queue was massive, so I didn't want to interrupt. And he said to the lady who was looking after his queue, he's like, "Oh, stop the queue for a second." And he's like, "Mad Dog." So I went over and said hi, and I said, "Hey," I just said, "I don't want to. You've got your queue. You crack on with that. I just want to say, you're doing amazing. Keep doing what you're doing great." And he's like, "Oh yeah, thanks, mate." Wandered off. 4 hours later, he's fighting Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Didn't tell me that,
To be honest, I wonder if he even knew at that point.
I think he knew. I think he definitely knew. But no, that was amazing. So he's done brilliant.
Henry.
Yeah. And he's was on TNT back in the day, our local hero as he was back then. I think that must have been either my first or second show in Liverpool. So yeah, back in the day he was with us there, so that was great. And
damn near one of the first to believe in him then.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Exactly. They really did. And, we do our best to support everyone and try and help them through. And, anyone I meet when I'm doing like All Star and different shows around the country, try and, get them some exposure and try and get them their opportunities. I was really happy when RPD got to wrestle on Progress in Manchester the other week. That was a special moment because I've been lucky enough to see sort of his whole introduction into the wrestling scene and ringing outs from, all over the place. Odyssey up at Morecambe, LWF, Wrestle Island, TNT. So that was great that he got to do Progress, and I'm hopeful that we'll see him at the ballroom as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he's definitely keen on it. He's. I think it was a bit of a bucket list thing for him at Progress. And as you say, he's like 5 years he's been putting in now. He's been all over the country. And,
he's got such a passionate fan base as well, hasn't he? So
I mean, what a crowd that night! We had a
Lancaster Uni
behind us, and they were absolutely they were making that match for him, weren't they?
Yeah,
100%. They were so vocal. It was really good atmosphere there.
Yeah, no, definitely was.
Yeah, I've been so lucky in my day-to-day job as well with working with the Birkdale Collective that I've had the chance to actually do like some of the university outreach and the schools outreach and stuff like that for not just Progress but for WrestleTours and Camp New York as well that they work with. So we've been up there and met like the Lancaster Uni guys a couple of times. So yeah, they are always a joy when they come down. Some of them have been down to London as well, but the whole gang shows up in Manchester and they bring the signs and they bring the noise. So that's exactly what we want. The more people like that who come along and just passionate audience who enjoy themselves and are really into the show, that's exactly what we're all about. So brilliant stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we got that sense of community, didn't we, when we were there? It felt like a real community thing. You could tell everyone was like proper part of it, which was nice. Touching back onto the WrestleTours side of things, you mentioned obviously WWE have announced that they switched, didn't they? They're now going back to Vegas this year. Obviously, you've just been there with WrestleTours. Has that affected plans at all? And how do you kind of, other than not having a dude wipes guy in the box this year, how do you make this year kind of different from the last?
Yeah, no, well, luckily, a lot of the guests had already signed back up because they loved it so much, and we're looking forward to sort of checking out New Orleans and seeing what that's all about. But then when it got switched back to Vegas, I actually found we had probably more people interested after seeing what we'd done this year.
Oh, nice.
And how much of a fun time we had, doing Fremont Street, doing the zip wire down Fremont with Charlie Crovers and all that sort of thing, and going to all the different casinos and bits of nights out and all sorts of stuff. It was quite a wild party. We had a great time, but everyone was still on top form and loved all the wrestling events we went to and put on. we started off with Defy, very first thing in the Palms casino resort as part of the collective. Then me and one of my other colleagues, Annabelle, were at the airport for the whole rest of that day, greeting guests as they arrived. And then it was Progress that night as the midnight show. So we'd already been up to go to Defy at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're still back at the place we started that day at, still at like 4 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah.
And then it didn't really slow down at all from then. So we had like exclusive meet and greet with some of the wrestlers who were over us. We had Mike D, who's obviously smashing it at the moment. He's back on Progress next weekend on the 27th. He's having a tables match with Axel Tisha, so that should be amazing. But him and Leon Slater and Charles Crowley, we did like an exclusive Q&A in our hotel with them. We had like one of the function suites. So everybody who was on WrestleTours got to meet those guys exclusively. And because you don't always hear the full story of where these guys have come from and what they've done.
Yeah.
So it was like they all got to hear about everyone. Mike D's got such an interesting story to tell. I'm sure you'll all hear it at some point, maybe on one of your episodes. But his dad. Yeah, his dad was a famous wrestler. He's like a bodybuilder as he was growing up and was really interested in that. Obviously, Leon's story is just amazing. He was telling us how he's was such a fan of the Hardy Boys growing up, and now he's literally the third Hardy Boy. It's like, what is going on? So to hear him tell us that, was just amazing. And obviously, Charles Crowley is just such a spectacular athlete and an amazing thespian as well, obviously. And only this week we've seen obviously that he's appears in the Fantastic Four movie, as he's been in the trailer that was leaked this week. So amazing stuff. So so that was sort of some exclusives that came out of that. But our fans from WrestleTours got to meet these guys, had photos with them. We had the WrestleTours belt with us and everything, so everyone got photos with that. We literally went to all the shows. We were all partying a bit. We had some the hotel we stayed at last time was the Park MGM, and it was just the perfect location. It's a non-smoking casino as well, which is nice because a lot of the others are quite smoky. So it's non-smoking, which is nice, especially if you're bringing kids with you, because obviously we cater for families as well to come on the trips with us. So it's a bit nicer if it's not a nice environment like that. But it had free swimming pools as well. So if we ever did get a moment of free time, we were out by the pool getting a bit of a tan on the go. And one of my best friends came with us as well, Steve. He was a guest on the trip, but I think by the end of it, people thought he was a member of staff because he was just looking after me, really. But it was funny if we were by the pool. He's like, "Oh, Mickey, are you allowed to drink?" I'm like, "I'd probably have one," and he'd come back with some 32-ounce cocktail thing with like Dole Whip in it and everything. I was like, "I can't have that. I'm going to go back to work in a minute."
The technicality, though, he said you could have one.
That's it. It's always that technicality. You're allowed one drink. That's the a couple of the Irish guys, Steve and Joe, will tell you that when we're in Philadelphia. Mad Dog's allowed one drink, and it was. Is anyone else drinking this absolute vodka?
Yeah, put a funnel in it and be done.
Yeah. No, but we've had some absolutely just amazing times, and there's obviously the people who we take with us, they become then part of the Progress family and come along to all the shows with Progress and catch up with us all around the country. So WrestleTours is such an amazing community as well that it's it all works so well together, because wherever we are around the country, we'll bump into somebody who's been on WrestleTours with us, like, oh my god, people tend to, they might not be able to come every year, because it is like a lot of people say it's a once in a lifetime thing, but what we find is people do try and come a couple of times with us because they have such a great time. And the whole thing about it is it's literally like sort of myself, Lee, Ross, who works out in Saudi Arabia for WWE, a couple of the other guys who work for WrestleTours, Cal, Annabelle, Rob, all the gang. It's actually us who go with you and look after you. And for us, it's sort of like we've worked all year to try and make sure we get as many people to go with us as possible and have an amazing time. So for us, it's like a treat for us to go as well, obviously, even though we're working, looking after everybody. But, it's just amazing. The vibes is great. And obviously you're all there together to have a great time and go to watch wrestling. And that's, we try and, if we're meeting people like, Lee's good friends with Rockstar Spud and people like that, we saw Penta when we were there and he came over and said hello, stuff like that, because they know us. So it means like if our guests are with us, they get to meet these guys as well, and it's it just makes the experience even more special for them as well. So
100%, yeah.
we
Yeah,
just try and make it
massively.
as much fun as possible. One of my other guests who came with us this year was Wrestling with Johners. Obviously does all
Oh
the
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
does a very similar thing to you guys, obviously. But I've worked with Johners since when it was lockdown. We first did a couple of podcasts together then, so I've always sort of helped him out and introduced him to new wrestlers to go on the show with him and stuff. And he came to
Oh, nice.
Vegas with us, and I honestly think it was probably one of the best times of his life. I took him to WrestleCon and introduced him to Hacksaw Jim Duggan and a few
That's
just other
awesome.
little bits like that. But people who I've met, from working in wrestling, and then that he might not have been aware of who they are and stuff. So yeah, amazing. And I'd recommend anybody who's especially coming up through the business, if you're looking to be a professional wrestler, it's definitely worth going and coming with us guys and seeing what
Mm.
it's all about, because that's obviously what a lot of people are aspiring to get to that stage. So
Yeah.
so if you can get, you work your way up the ladder, you do your smaller shows, you train hard, you eat right, you hit the gym, and then obviously, you work onto these bigger shows, and there's opportunities for people, progress, do a show in Vegas or in the USA each year as well. If you can get onto that and be on that show, suddenly, like people like DeReese,
Yep.
Tate, Crowley, who've been over there, Alexis Falcon, Lana Austin, Rob Drake, people like those guys who've come over with us and been seen. Now they're wrestling over there regularly, like
Yeah.
Lycos Jim, Rio. It's just an amazing way for people to get to know who you are. And when they know how good you are in the UK, then, you're valuable to them in the States as well. So they're willing to fly people over and have them on shows over there, which is what they deserve. And that's, eventually they'll end up on WrestleMania, and that's what we're looking at.
Well,
So,
that's it. That's it.
which
Proof's in the
is,
pudding. We've seen it.
and I can
Walter
put
and
on my little
yeah.
wrestling CV now that I've ring announced for the WWE World Champions. So it's like,
I mean, bloody hell.
Love it. So obviously, there's this sort of never-ending uncertainty, I suppose, at the minute of will WrestleMania come to the UK? And I think, Sadiq Khan has said, he definitely wants them to have it in London. Triple H has suggested that it could happen in the future, but we haven't got a solid plan for it yet. But on the suggestion that, at some point we'll see WrestleMania over here in the UK, from a WrestleTours approach, do you have a perhaps like an idea or a plan in place for if it was to actually stay in on home turf, as it were?
yeah, they've definitely got a plan. I think what I would probably suggest is that a lot of people probably come and stay at my house, and we'd get a coach down to.
That's a real
I
community
think
feel, I love
That's
it.
I
it.
think, we'd give them the tour of Liverpool, do the Beatles, do
Yeah.
Matthew Street, all that sort of side of things. They help with Doc, and then get the coach down, because I think I think that'd be a tough one to get the hotels and tickets for. But I think, if anyone can do it, it's Wrestle Tours. But I
Yeah.
think what I love about it is actually that it's in the States. We can go and do them trips, and it
Mm.
feels like a holiday for everybody. Well, it is a holiday for everyone,
Yeah.
isn't it? So it's
Yeah.
like it's just amazing. So I like it when it's in different places. Philly was a little bit cold, like on the first night.
Yeah,
The weather was a
I've
bit
heard that
chilly there.
freezing. Yeah.
It was torrential rain in a bit of the time, but I loved Philly as well. It was, we went to see the Liberty Bell. We did all the Eldrift Alley and all that, and Reading Terminal Market. I'm a bit of a foodie. That's how I, keep this figure up. But yeah, there's some amazing like food places there and stuff. And we just go and try and have the best time we can, and make sure that the people who join us just love it. And if they can
Yeah.
come back again, they're always welcome with us. And we look after them and make sure they have a great
Yeah.
time. And you guys, you should come with us. You'd love it. Have
Do
either
you
of you
know
been to
what? Yeah.
WrestleMania before?
No,
No,
never.
no.
The only PLE I've ever been to was Clash of the Castle in
Yeah, you
Scotland.
did clash, yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a bucket list thing for me, definitely, to see a WrestleMania at some point.
Well, you're
Yeah.
always
I'll have to
welcome
get a
to join
passport.
us.
Oh yeah, I mean,
That's
Get
yeah.
awesome.
involved. Vegas is just so epic. It's amazing. I was excited that it was going to be in New Orleans, only because I've not been there before, and
Yeah.
also some of the guys obviously used to run wrestling travel back in the day, so they've been to a lot of different live events, and they loved New Orleans and said it was great. And we had it all sorted out for a great hotel and everything for that trip. But then when it was announced it was Vegas again, I was a little bit worried that people would be like, oh, but in
Mm.
fact, more people are. It's almost completely sold out already, the trip. So it's showing that
Yeah.
people are really invested about going
Well,
out.
that's it.
The only
It shows.
problem we did have, you mentioned about, if there was any issues for us, the only problem was the date change for people who'd already booked time off work. That was the only real problem.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
most of
Yeah.
them were thankfully able to sort that out. So, yeah, so we managed to either transfer everyone over to the week after or arrange for them to join us another year if they aren't able to make this one, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
yeah, still going amazing. And obviously, if you want to hear about it throughout the week, guys, I have a Calendly link that I can send you. I can send you a few photos and flyers across to have a look at, and anything you want to add into this, you can do. But obviously,
nice.
I'm contactable. My role in the week is always to chat to people about coming. So if anyone just wants to ring up and ask the question, be like, what exactly do we get? What happens? I'm more than happy to speak to anyone about it and help them out and make their dreams a reality, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's it's an amazing trip, and obviously you get to come with Bestie and Lee and myself and all the gang, and generally we have just an amazing time. So it's literally
I
if
love
you
that
look
though.
back
True
at
customer service that as well.
the pictures and videos and stuff that we've got, and one of the guys is dropping a video that he's really excited about this week, Matt. He literally only joined the trip a couple of weeks before. It was when we had some other tickets come available, and we were like, we'd sold the trip out completely, and it was like we found out we had some extra spaces, and we were like, we should try and get more people involved. And I reached out to Matt. I think he was from Liverpool, and he ended up coming with us, like literally sort of last minute thing. And then he's got this amazing video that's going to be dropping this week. So keep your eyes peeled for it, because he's put all his experience together. And he did have a cowboy hat from the moment he arrived. So he's well and truly partying it up.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think I know with the cowboy hat as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm curious as well. Obviously, WrestleTours focused a lot around WrestleMania. We are seeing WWE move to more kind of two-night things. SummerSlam's 2 nights. There's rumors the Rumble. Do you think you'd ever kind of branch out a bit and look at other events if they became like multi-night things?
Definitely, I think in the past they definitely used to do almost every event and take people over for all of them. But obviously the prices have increased a lot with WWE, and since TKO
Yeah,
took over, so it's just finding that right balance between
True. Yeah.
being able to take people on the trip and also it not being like a tiny trip, and just like one member of staff go and try and look after 20 people or whatever.
yeah,
You've still got to keep the quality level up and make sure people have a great time. So depending on when they sort of announce things, depending on, like, for example, if we've sold out our WrestleMania trip in the next few weeks and WWE announce like something really exciting for next summer or whatever for SummerSlam, and the hotels work and it all fits in place, and our fans could join us. Like it depends if families are coming and stuff as well, for school
yeah,
holiday times and stuff like that. So
Yeah, sure.
of course.
WrestleMania works well because recently it has been in the Easter holidays as well. So it's meant
Yeah,
families can join us as well, which is great. And obviously we always look after people's families when they're with us and stuff. Paul Benson from Hooked on Wrestling brought his son with him, for example, and we just, we had a great time, and we had families join us this year. Unfortunately, one of them couldn't come because of the date change, but we know at the end of the day they'll come with us another year because it's with us guys, and we look after them. We know them through wrestling and stuff. So yeah, so no, it's great. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. And Vegas was just amazing this year. Some of my favorite things, obviously, we saw the Bellagio fountains. We went to the one thing I didn't get to do that I was hoping to do was get to the Wynn buffet, because people always tell me, oh, you've got to go to the Wynn buffet. But we did go to the Wynn on our last night, but the queue for the buffet was about 2 hours long. And I've been threatening to book about a month before with Steve and Annabelle, who I work with, and Rob and Lee. And then Lee was flying out to Florida that night or something. And when we got there, as a queue, it was like, oh, we went to one of the tapas bars there instead, but it was really nice. But yeah, next year I'm definitely getting to that buffet.
Yeah, got to.
Yeah, you got it, man.
It's part of the experience, yeah.
Yeah, we went to the A2theK Grill as well, guys, while we were there this year. That's somewhere I've been.
I've seen it.
When I went with my friends
that.
in 2019, and it's it is wild. But I actually, when I went the other time, the burger was actually delicious. So I was just like, they say it's just like, oh, it's really bad for you or whatever. But I think anything in moderation is fine.
Yeah, I'll live by that.
I've seen a few clips of that because isn't it? I don't know if they do it with everything, but there's they punish it if you don't finish it for one of them.
Is that one?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah. I ate all my dinner though, so I wasn't getting spanked that day.
I'll be honest. I was going to ask about that because I sometimes think I could finish that, and I don't know. Maybe I'm being naive there, or or greedy, but I reckon I could do that.
I didn't go for the octuplet burger though with the 8 burgers on it.
Oof.
I
Oh
just had a
my
double,
God.
but I didn't have chili cheese fries. So,
Yeah,
Bloody hell.
absolute win.
so
Do you
yeah,
know,
but
because
yeah, a couple of the guys, there are videos, but obviously we're not going to put them on social media.
no, no. Given that you're a foodie and we're talking about food as much as it's a tangent and not part of the script, did you try a Philly cheesesteak while you were there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Loved it. We went to Reading Terminal Market, so that has all different stalls in there. But Lee's favorite place that he showed us was this donut stall that was just like amazing donuts. So we got like a big box
Yeah.
of those and took it back to the hotel for everyone. And yeah, I got a Philly cheesesteak while we were there, but it was top notch. But yeah, as I said, I'm a bit of a foodie. I've worked in like restaurants for like 15 years. So as I was first doing the ring announcing, I was still managing restaurants as well, and then I sort of had to wind it back down a little bit and work as like a waiter and stuff to fit in
Yeah, yeah.
between doing both jobs at the same time. So yeah.
I love that. Is there any like so like when you go to America, is there like literally I've got to get this food, I've got to get this drink? Is there anything that is like is your go-to when you're over there?
Well, for me, I think since I went to Disney the other year, that Dole Whip is definitely one of my favorite things, like that pineapple ice cream and
Oh
it, like
yeah.
it's pineapple
Mm.
sorbet. But basically,
Yeah.
the fact that they had sort of it was them, but with whatever spirit you wanted to add into it by the poolside at the Park MGM, I just thought that was genius. You know,
Dangerous.
that was too easy. That was too easy. That,
Oh yeah.
but yeah,
Hot sun.
I enjoy like things that we don't always get in the UK as much, like some of the peanut butters you get out there. I'm like terrible with them. Go
Yeah.
wild on the old peanut butter. And like Cheez-It snacks and stuff. You're seeing them a lot
Yeah.
more over in the UK now, as like
Mm.
them, like the candy stores become more and more popular. More stuff gets imported in, doesn't it? But like there was a
Yeah.
time when we didn't used to get anything like that. And yeah, Fruit Loops. I used to go crazy for Fruit Loops when I was younger.
Fruit Loops, yeah.
Oh yeah. Love Fruit
I
Loops.
think I'm not allowed to.
The
I'm
UK
not
ones are
allowed
shit,
to have
aren't
them
they?
when we're on trips anymore because they're like, "Where's Mad Dog?" And like, "Oh, he's on the roof of the hotel again." Who let him have Fruit Loops for breakfast?
Oh, I love it. Do you know what? I could talk about food for the rest of this song, but I'm gonna try and get us back on track.
You're hungry.
Obviously WrestleMania 42. I just have to ask, are there any particular matches that you're hoping you get to experience live and in person next year?
I've been so lucky that like a lot of the matches that I've wanted to see, I've been able to see things like I really loved when Batista came through originally, and I was lucky to see like that sort of storyline with Evolution, each like stage of it as it went through, including where Batista like became the champion at WrestleMania 21.
Mm.
I was like lucky enough to see all the little bits either side of that because it was always the WrestleMania Revenge tour or the Survivor Series tour. As they were building those storylines up, so you'd always catch bits of that each year as it was coming through. So I was lucky to see that. But then one of my favorite matches I ever saw was obviously WrestleMania 28 was a great one for me because it had the end of an era Hell in a Cell with Undertaker versus Triple H and Shawn
Yeah.
Michaels as the special guest referee. And if you watch that footage back, my seat was about 100 rows back. But if you watch the start of that match, and some fans have pointed this out to me, you can see me shaking the Hell in a Cell because I'm ringside for that bit.
Nice.
So as you watch it, basically, Shawn Michaels is laying down the law, and they're nose to nose. And as the Hell in a Cell comes down, I'm just in that corner there, right in the bottom corner where the stanchion is. And numerous people have sent me. I was wearing a Hawaiian shirt as well, so it was quite easy to spot.
I have
But
to look for
yeah,
that
and
now.
then
Yeah.
yeah, oh honestly, yeah, so many people have sent me that over. And obviously at WrestleMania 23, I was in row 5 as well. So that was Undertaker versus Batista. That match really stood out to me at that. Just thought it was a great match. And low key, hadn't been anticipating it stealing the show, to be honest. And I feel like it did. So that was quite a special one to be there for. I'm just thinking like the storyline from WrestleMania 39 up to 40, them two WrestleManias together tied together
Yeah.
so nicely, building that
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes storyline and everything they did between them two. I thought that was a real masterpiece to culminate that at WrestleMania 40, and the way they did that was just really well done. And then you could see at 41, they're obviously starting to put new cogs into place and new ideas, and it's building again, and I think there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff they could do, especially you just never know who's going to jump the pecking order next as well. Obviously
That's
this
the thing,
week with Seth picking up that knock, and then Bron Breakker just suddenly just having an absolute. Obviously, Bron is going to be an absolute superstar. I've been lucky enough to meet him and the family before, but his the way they presented him in that gauntlet match just shows how big they think he's going to be, and obviously what Paul Heyman said as well, alluding to him being a Steiner as well for a change.
Yeah,
I just think they've got big ideas for him, and obviously, Big Bronson Reed's just there, watching on Tsunami and people. But he was with us at Progress in the Dome for the Atlas tournament, so that was only 2.5 years ago, and he was working with us when he was known as Jonah, and such a nice guy, and people like that, you're happy when you see them doing so well, and I think he's got. So many of them have just got such bright careers ahead of them. It's going to be great to see how they play out.
It was great to see Bronson back so soon, actually, because he took that knock with his ankles, didn't he? But that was good to see him back. He's an absolute monster, isn't he?
Oh, he is. It's nice to see how many of them have come through the UK as well. Like the Indies before they've got to where they've kind of got to. And, it's nice to see, and it goes to show that it is possible. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
We had to reinforce the Dome in Tufnell Park for that show, Atlas tournament.
That's where you got the name.
Go back and watch it now on Demand Progress Plus, lads.
Yes, look at that. That's a plug and a half.
Top-notch plug that.
I suppose then,
go check it out.
Lastly, from us then, just for anyone, listening to this or watching this who's never been to WrestleTours before on any of these trips, what one thing would you say to convince them now to take that plunge?
I just honestly think it's all about the once in a lifetime going to WrestleMania, just absolutely enjoying yourself, having the most luxurious seats in the building, in the Premier Suites, and you get the access into the building's great. We now have been to Vegas before, so know we literally walked from our hotel to WrestleMania last year. It's literally a 15-20 minute walk. You go through the New York, through Excalibur, behind the back of the Luxor, and you're at WrestleMania, which is just like. To talk about that is just mad, isn't it? But I still wore me tux, even though it was about 40 degrees. Because you got to look nice.
I expect nothing less.
You know what? Dedication.
Absolutely.
WrestleMania. But as we walked along the bit, we came over the bridge. But as we came over the bridge for WrestleMania, they had all the backstage set up, all going on there. We know, like the interviews, the pre-show interviews and all that. So we took our gang over to see what was going on there, and we got to speak to Rockstar Spud, and it was when they were unveiling that WWE had purchased AAA. So all of the Lucha stars were there, and obviously Vikingo was with us at Progress earlier on in the year, and he was like a big focus of that, because he's there.
Yeah, of course.
Was he the champion, or at least challenging for the championship at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah,
so he was like their big face of the company. So we'd only just worked with him in January of this year. And then there he was at WrestleMania, and we literally saw him shake hands with Triple H and stuff. So there's some exclusive photos somewhere. I'll have to see if I can sneak a couple of them in for you to put out with this. Interspersed. So people don't have to look at my face the whole time. But I'll send a few over so you can have a look. But there's some great stuff there. But yeah, I just think if you want an amazing trip to WrestleMania with some great people who are going to look after you and try and make sure you have a great time, then it's the one to go with, WrestleTours for sure, because we just try and make sure everyone has a great time, and it's a community. It's all the gang want to look after you and make sure you have a brilliant time, and I think anyone who's been with us will attest to that and say they had an amazing time. So that's why we keep doing it every year, and it's hopefully it just keeps growing and everyone has a even more amazing time. And obviously if we can get to some other shows and stuff, we will do as well. And only other things to mention obviously is we've got shows up and coming in the UK in the coming weeks. I'm not sure when you'll drop this, but 26th of July is our next shows for TNT. We've got TNT Ignition and also TNT Summer Explosion, so that's going to be amazing. Progress Stay Humble is the next day in London, so that should be a busy weekend for me. And then obviously there's loads more stuff to look forward to later on in the summer with AEW and WWE being over in almost the same week in August. So it's going to be wild. Indeed. So we'll be keeping busy as always.
Love it. Right, Mike, so, thank you so much for your time. Before we let you go, though, I just wanted to ask if you can let sort of our listeners or viewers know sort of how they can keep up to date with yourself, with WrestleTours and everything you've got going on.
Absolutely. So yeah, check out obviously TNT Extreme Wrestling, Progress Wrestling, WrestleTours, all on the socials. Everyone's on Instagram these days, aren't they? So all my photographs go up on there. I've got a Facebook page that I try and keep updated as much as possible for everybody, and I'm at Angus Mad Dog on Twitter. So make sure to check that out. And obviously, I'd just like to thank everyone for the support over the years as we've been doing all the different shows and everything. And yeah, keep coming along to the shows. Keep barking at the Mad Dog, who were barking at me before they were barking at Bron Breakker.
Gimmick infringement, he stole it from you there, didn't he?
I'll let him have it. He's a Steiner. But no, and also, guys, I'd just like to thank you guys for working so hard. These interviews you do are integral to the wrestling business, and to build up and coming wrestlers as well, and to interview them and hear their stories, and to see your passion as fans yourselves and people who know as reporters about the business. It's it's really admirable, and you do a great job. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll see a few more Progress shows, and obviously TNT in Liverpool. It's handy for you guys.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
So always make sure you come and say hello and get that Mad Dog selfie, because you never know. You don't want to forget these things you've done. If you don't take them photos, you'd forget everything you've done. I'm glad that I feel like my main contribution to British wrestling over the last sort of 10 years has been the fact that everybody now does just take the photos. And before that, I think there was like a little bit of a thing in the air behind it where it's like, oh, I don't know if we should do that. And then I just came in and was just like, get a Mad Dog selfie.
Love it. Oh, absolutely.
Gotta have a Mad Dog selfie.
Well, that's it. I mean, we had one in Manchester, so we're officially on the list.
Collect from now on.
Exactly.
It.
Hopefully,
I hope that's up on the wall.
Oh yeah, it is just right behind.
You can edit that in.
Yeah, just put it in right over the top. No, thank you so much, man. Thank you for taking the time.
Hey, no worries. Great to speak to you guys, and hopefully we'll catch up very soon. All right.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All the best.
A to the K.